Hi guys, my name's Fred Gillen and I'd like to welcome you to another one of our free introductory tutorials. This particular tutorial is about creating money-making websites on a shoestring budget. In this video we're actually just going to give you an introduction to the process and some of the basic requirements. So without any further ado, let's get started. What we actually need to do to get going on producing a website, we actually need a domain name. What a domain name is, it's virtually just a registration of a unique name with the governing body that gives you and only you permission to use it. So it doesn't give you any presence, it doesn't give you a website, it doesn't give you a web page. It purely just gives you the right to use a name and for you only to use that name. So the first thing we need to do is look at creating and deciding on a domain name. The next thing you need to do is you need to look for somewhere to actually host your website. And what the analogy I draw to that is, it's probably like if you were in a real offline business, you'd have to have a storefront or a shop to sell your products. So a host is basically the same thing in the virtual world. So it's somewhere to actually host your website so that people can get to it and see it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You also need to build an attractive website. So when you have a website, it needs to be a type of site that will actually attract people to it. So it's not just a matter of looking pretty and being good and being concise and operational, but it actually needs to be an attractive website so that people will be invited to it and they will actually come like bees to honey. And you also need obviously a way to make money from your site, because it's the whole basis of the website. It's not just having somewhere to put your name up in lights, but it's a way of building an income gradually over the next few months and then increasing that into a fully fledged, possibly an e-commerce website or an information branded website. The last but not least, you actually need a way of receiving those payments. So there are a multitude of offerings out there on the web. You can have money deposited direct to your bank account. You can have it emailed to you, faxed to you, lots of options. But what we're trying to do here is make it simple and automated so that and as easy as possible for people to pay you. So they are the 5 things that you need to get a website up and running so that you can be making money as soon as possible. With a domain name, you need to actually keep your domain name as relevant as possible to whatever type of business you're in. So if you're in gardening, then you would try and use the word gardening in your domain name, or if you're into golf, likewise with golf. If you're into cooking or catering, similarly you would try and keep the name in there. It's a good idea to try and keep it as short as possible so that when people have to type it in, there's less chance of error. Sometimes that's not possible because of the amount of domains that are going up every day. You may be restricted to having a multi-word domain name, but that's fine. So you need to decide on a domain name. That's the first task. So get your pen to paper and write down a few names that come to mind, and then you can go and see about registering them. This is what we were talking about before. We actually need to try and pick a name that people can remember. We're Australian based, so you've got to have a thought about whether you actually want a .au domain or a .com, or whether in fact you actually want both. The benefit of a .au domain is when people from Australia actually search Google, it will go out and look at all the .au domains first and return results based on .au domains. If you're going global and with downloadable products or information products, if that's what you're going to sell, then you'd probably be looking at a .com domain. There is a price variance in both. The AU domains are a little bit more expensive than .coms, but my advice initially would be that if you're going with a domain name and you're serious about it, then if both are available, grab both. At least you have them locked in, and it's probably less than $50 all up to get both for 2 years. So it's not a major expense. You need to keep your domain name short, and the reason for that I expressed earlier was that the longer it is, the less chance of people have of remembering it correctly, or even worse, when they type it in they misspell it and take you to your opposition. So the shorter the better. And the next thing you need to do is just go ahead and do it. So in order to register a domain name, you've got a few options available to you. You can go to GoDaddy.com, which is one of the international registrars that do very economical domain name registrations. So if you go to GoDaddy.com and follow the prompts, you can probably, I think at last count, it was about $8 or $9 US to register a .com domain. If you're in Australia, then you can go to one of our sister companies, and it's Nitty Gritty Domains. We offer very economical domain registrations for AU domains, and we also do .com domains. Depending on the exchange rate, in some cases it can be beneficial to register through Nitty Gritty Domains, but as I said, depending on the exchange rate, sometimes you might get a better deal by going direct to GoDaddy.com. And there are lots of other options out there. You've got a variety of hosts in Australia and overseas, so you can check them out. The service is pretty much the same from every one of them. It's really only a matter of price. So have a look at the others, make a decision, but you need to do it. And that's probably what we're going to say, and this could be the first step on your road up the internet superhighway.